hasn't really changed our understanding of the quantum world work.
Hello and welcome. I'm Ellie Richardson and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. In the State of the Union address today, US President Donald Trump reaffirmed his stance on Iran, emphasising that while he prefers a diplomatic resolution to the ongoing confrontation, he will not allow the country to acquire nuclear weapons. Speaking to Congress, Trump stated that his preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy, but he is certain of one thing, that the US will never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The president's remarks come amid growing tensions with Iran as Washington continues to push for stronger measures to curb Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Trump's commitment to diplomacy, coupled with his firm stance on preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, highlights the administration's ongoing efforts to navigate this complex international issue. We are now going to be joined by Adrian Calamel, who is a fellow Arabian Peninsula Institute and terrorism scholar, joining us from New York. Thank you so much for joining us here today on NewsX World. Thank you. Trump spoke about how in Iran he believes that they are the number one terror, and my preference is to resolve Iran's nuclear issue via diplomacy. And then he also went to speak on about Operation Midnight Hammer. What do you think? He was speaking about Iran, saying that he is going to sort this out. Do you think he wants to really do it by diplomacy, or is he wanting to scare them by constantly sending out military personnel?
Well, first of all, good morning to Ellie, and it's good to see you again. He's been relatively consistent. I mean, this is the one issue with the Islamic Republic where I think he's shown consistency. Now, there's deliberate ambiguity with what he says, but he will not, he said it right in his speech, he will not let them enrich, he will not let them reprocess. Those are the two. Well, he said you will not let them have the nuclear weapon, but those are the two processes that need to happen for them to possess a nuclear weapon. Now, he did touch on Midnight Hammer. I think he misspoke there, because no, they didn't obliterate the nuclear program, because in reality, they're about 18 months away to 2 years to reconstituting it, and that's going to come back to play in his term. He also, I think, showed that, he's not afraid to use force. He specifically mentioned Qasem Soleimani 2019 when he took him out at Baghdad airport when there was a plot against the U.S. embassy in Baghdad. So, and that was a severe blow to the ambitions of the Islamic Republic, and that was Khamenei's top advisor on the battlefield. So, he's, and he finished it off with, peace through strength, and he highlighted the human rights abuses. On the other side, you have a regime that will not back away from the enrichment and the reprocessing. There's no way they're going to do it. So what you have are two freight trains moving along here, and I really think it's just a matter of when action is taken.
Thank you, Adrian, but don't go too far, as I will join back with you very shortly. We're now going to go to David K. Johnston, who is an author and journalist, also joining us from New York. Thank you so much for joining us here today on NewsX World. With Iran, like Adrian was just saying to me, he has been very insistent about what he wants. He has said, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. He knows the world was watching this speech and with what he was saying. How do you think Iran is going to take this?
Well, they don't want to be bullied or pushed around by the country that back in the early 50s overthrew their government and saddled them for decades with the vicious rule of the Shah. And they're certainly not happy that the person the Trump administration has been palling around with as a successor to the Ayatollahs is the son of the former dictator. On the other hand, as Adrian pointed out, Trump did not destroy the efforts by the Iranians to enrich. The Ayatollahs will tell you that we're doing this for peaceful purposes and we have not given any religious permission to create a bomb. I don't think many people will buy that and believe it or trust it. And Trump also wants to keep the Iranian government unsure of what he's up to. The one thing will not happen is a land invasion. The military assets Trump has there are more than adequate for fighters, bombers, drones, and missiles to rain down terror from the air. But they don't have the troops, the landing vehicles, or anything else for a ground assault. And Iran has roughly 1 million people who are trained soldiers, not all of them on active duty. So you're not talking about an insignificant military force were Trump foolish enough to try a ground assault. And I do not think there's any chance of that happening.
Thank you, but please don't go too far as I will be coming back to you very shortly. Some more breaking from Trump's speech. US President Donald Trump has criticised the US Supreme Court after it struck down his global tariffs, calling the decision a blow to America's trade leverage. Trump said the ruling undermines his efforts to protect US industry and pressure trading partners he accuses of unfair practices. The court found that the tariffs exceeded the president's authority under existing law, limiting the use of emergency powers for broad trade action. In response, Trump vowed to pursue alternative legal and policy tools to impose trade penalties if he returns to office. The decision could have far-reaching implications for future US trade policy and executive power. We are now going to go back to Adrian. Thank you, Adrian, for staying with us today on NewsX World. So he said that the Supreme Court ruling in his speech was very unfortunate. And because, as we know, so he got told that he can't do these tariffs anymore by the Supreme Court. He then went and put 10% global tariffs and then 15% global tariffs for the world. And there's been major uproar. How do you think everyone's going to take this from his speech?
Well, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the one to speak on the economy and economics, and but I will say this is a major blow to his agenda. He was using the tariffs in some situations, I think, to shape other policies.
What do you think the Supreme Court's next steps are going to be for this?
Well, there's no other case in front of the court right now, but the American Constitution, and I'm also a law professor, is eminently clear. Congress, not the president, has the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, and imposts. That covers tariffs. Now, the Congress has given some limited authority to presidents in emergency and other circumstances to impose tariffs. I think if those were ever brought before the court, you would expect the original textualists on the court to strike that down as being an improper extension of grant of congressional authority to another branch of the government. Here's the problem scenario. Trump could, at the end of the 150 days, let one day go by if Congress doesn't extend the 15% tariffs, which they will not. And then on the 152nd day, he could reimpose them. And my concern would be that the so-called originalists or textualists on the court would say to Congress, well, you could have written the law to prevent this, but you didn't. So too bad. Every 152nd day, the president can reimpose the tariff. That's the kind of mess we've gotten into, and disregard for principles in the Constitution. And this is not good for the world economy. It is not good for trade relations. We are seeing the biggest beneficiary of this has been China, which is busy making deals with Canada, with Australia, our #1 lapdog loyal ally, and with the Europeans. So Donald Trump, through his just utter appalling ignorance about economics, law, or anything else, and seeing the whole world as being about him. And people should know I've known Donald for almost 40 years. I've spent hundreds of hours with him, written 3.5 books about him. That he just believes that anything he says, that's the way it is. He just makes it up, as he did a lot of things in his State of the Union address tonight. This is not good for a stable world. It's not good for Western alliances. I mean, there's nothing good to come out of this.
Thank you, David. Don't go anywhere, as we will be coming back very shortly.